Hello and welcome along to today's video on how to do things on your BMW E39 M5. Today we're going to be looking at the rear window seal trim rubber. Now you might want to change this because your car's been in for paint, like mine has. Had the roof repainted and currently just in the process of having the lacquer flattered back with 1500, 2000, 2500 grit. Then it'll be buffed to a mirror gloss shine with VP3 and varying compound pads. But enough about that. Before my car went in for some paint, the rear window seal had to be removed, as well as the gutter rails. And it was very easy. Pull it off at the corner, peel it off all the way around, then leaves you with a glass in the frame. Then you'll need to remove any debris and dirt that's built up in the channels before you fit your new seals. The new seals came direct from BMW, a couple of days order, and they shipped from Germany to my local dealer. The lower trim piece is 51318159786 and the upper and side piece, which is all one unit, is 51318159785. When you fit these, as I said previously, make sure everything's nice and clean. You might want to use some tar remover to remove the old glue from the trim. Once you've pulled it off, it might leave some in place. We'll start by fitting the bottom seal first, and then you'll fit the top seal around afters. To fit the bottom seal, very simple. Open the boot lid, make sure everything's absolutely spotless. Apply some soap, small soap mix. Then this allows you to slide the trim piece in without it binding and rubbing, because the trim piece itself has a self-adhesive glue portion within the liner. Not sure if you'll be able to make it out from here, but that little rubber lip just in front of my thumb tip is the self-adhesive part of the trim, and that pushes onto the bottom of the window and push it home firmly, making sure it's central within the frame. Once you've lined up the trim with the corner of the window like so, simply push it along and the trim will pop into place. And because the glue's been moistened using the soap solution, once it dries out from underneath the trim, it will be firmly secure and solidly glued in place. And then you can move on to the next part of getting the top trim seal ready for fitment. I'm going to wait before I fit my top trim seal, as I need to finish flattening and polishing the lacquer, or clear coat for our American friends. Then once that's done, I will refit the top seal. Now the roof has been fully polished to a mirror gloss finish, I can get on with fitting the side and top trim for the rear screen. Principle is the same as the bottom trim. Squirt of soapy liquid all the way around to lubricate it, then slot the trim into place. Helps if you've got a trim tool, plastic trim tool, or if you haven't got one of them, plastic bike tie levers will work as well. So we'll show you how to do that next. The first thing we're going to do is lay this trim piece out on the window, then give it a squirt of soapy liquid. I recommend that you don't use household soap detergent. If you use a little mixture of car washing soap, then that's obviously got the natural waxes in it, which is the reason why you buy car wash soap. Also give inside the trim squirt as well, as this will help the trim fit onto the window. Then once the soap solution has dried, the glue that is inside the trim will adhere to the window as well. So if we start up in the top corner, get the corner piece in first, then that will give us a datum that we can work from, which will ensure that our trim is perfectly aligned all the way across. Get the corner in, then work your way down, and then we can work our way across the top. This is where using your bicycle tyre lever comes in handy. Use the small levered end to gently tease the trim into the corner of the windscreen. This will allow you to get the moulding in and fitted at the top corner. And allow you to push it all the way down as well. Then once the side and top are in properly, fit the trim all the way across the top of the car. Then make sure both corners are in fully first, then seat the sides fully as well. Once you're happy with the positioning of the seal, make sure that the corners are snug. Then you can use your tyre fitting tool, and you push back again, to push the rubber trim down and onto the windscreen. It takes quite a bit of force, but it does go in. If you feel that it's not going in easy enough, then you can always add a bit more soapy water solution. Then make sure that the rubber seal is below the paint line by about 4 or 5 mil, and then that will be your trim fully home along the top. Then for the sides, simply push the seal into place all the way down. Ensure that it's hooked under at the bottom and the rubber trim goes neatly over the bottom seal. So rubber trim goes neatly over the bottom seal. Then use your tyre lever again just to pull the seal into place onto the screen all the way along, ensuring there's a nice even gap between the window and the bodywork. Once side trims are all the way down on each side, make sure that the trim is tucked over neatly at the bottom onto the lower part of the screen trim. Then wipe round where you've done your work, and that is your rear screen trim completed. Shouldn't take more than 5 minutes at most. If your screen has been replaced at some point in its life, then you might have a bit more difficulty in doing the job due to the screen fitters having a penchant for using excessive amounts of adhesive when fitting new screens. So bear that in mind. And next we'll go on to the front windscreen and do the trim on that one as well. The front windscreen trim is 51318159784 from BMW, and fitment principle is identical to that of the rear screen. And also in the same vein of the rear screen, if you've had a new windscreen in at some point and the fitter has got a bit happy with the glue, then when you pull your old trim off, you might have a few issues with excess glue squeeze out needed to be cut away down the gap of the screen for the bodywork. Flip side of a coin, if you've had a new screen at some point and the fitter's done an exceptionally good job, then there'll be no squeeze out and you'll be able to remove the old trim safely. I'm quite lucky, new screen on this in November last year, and the fitter did an excellent job, and I was able to remove the screen trim before the roof was painted, and that's allowed me to buy the new trim from BMW and be able to fit this with no issues, hopefully. So we'll go on to fitting the new screen trim and show you how that's done as well. So if you're removing your old trim first, which obviously you'll need to do, also you'll need to remove the little moulding pieces of trim which sit between the wing, bonnet and windscreen, and they're very easy. They just pull out and just remove them to the side as they go back in after the seal has been fitted. Same principle for the front screen as the rear one. Make sure everything's spotlessly clean, then give round the windscreen a spray with the soap solution, and this will allow you to refit the new screen trim a lot easier. Lay the new seal across your windscreen where you want it to fit. Same with the rear screen, lubricate the seal where it goes onto the glass. This will make fitting a hell of a lot easier for you. If you found that you've got excessive glue squeeze out when you've been removing your old seal, now's the time to make sure that everything is absolutely spotless for when you put your new seal in. Otherwise you will run into some snags and hitches and your new seal won't fit correctly. Again, starting at the top corner, start with the side, then gently ease it in using your trim tool or push back tie lever. You only need to ease about an inch or so in. We just want to hold the seal in place first, then we can start getting it in along the top. Then we'll make sure that the top's fully fitted, then we can pull gently on the sides to move it down and take up any slack in the rubber, then fit the side trims all the way down. Once you've got the trim started, you'll find that a gentle bit of force all the way along using the palm of your hand will allow you to ease the trim over the windscreen, and it will then sit down flush once the entire screen trim has been fitted. Once the top trim is fully done, then we can push the side trim home. Very easy. Pop it in all the way down and it will naturally take to the shape of the windscreen. Then gently run your trim tool up the inside to make sure that the trim piece is all the way onto the windscreen and that any gaps are flush to the screen and the trim is equal distance all the way down to the bodywork. Then that is your windscreen trims fitted, and you can refit the small pieces of trim under the bonnet between the windscreen and scuttle. Once you've got all the trim fitted, make sure that everything's perfectly aligned, and also make sure that the screen trim along the top is nice and even along its length with no wobbly parts on it where the trim looks like a sausage going down the screen. It's also worth noting that if you want to go down the cheaper route of an aftermarket screen trim for about 15 quid, then it's a risk you take, as the E39 is heavily prone to wind noise at speeds above 60 to 70 miles an hour. And with the previous windscreen trim fitted, I noticed slight wind noise from the top corners, which when taped up disappeared. So that pointed to me that wind were getting in under the screen trim and rushing down the inside of the gutters. So the BMW windscreen trim will cure that, and the fitment is already better on the corners than the aftermarket trim was as well. Next up, we're going to do the sunroof trim, and this is the part you require from BMW. 54128169710, and that is the flocked trim. So if your roof's been painted, you have to remove the old sunroof trim, then you'll need to refit a new one, and that is very simple to do, and we'll do that from inside the car. Sunroof needs to be fully opened, then we can work from inside the car fitting the new trim. Once you've opened your sunroof, tape down the wind deflection spoiler so that doesn't get in the way, then use a good quality cloth to remove any traces of paint overspray or contaminants, or if you just change the seal because it's defective, pull the old one off, then remove any traces of adhesive from around the sunroof trim seal. Mark on the centre point of the sunroof with a bit of tape. measure the distance between both, put it in the centre, then that's where the seal will join at the rear. If you're just replacing the seal on your roof because it's defective, then simply mark it before you remove it, and this will aid fitment. Once you've unpacked your seal, you'll need to make sure it goes on the right way, and you will only get one chance at this as the adhesive on the back is super strong. If you look at the seal from the side on, you'll see that there's a slight lip at the top. This lip wants to go overlapping onto the roof ever so slightly, so it sits like that. If you don't get this right, then it's game over and you have to buy a new seal. You only get one go. Once you've finished putting the trim on all the way around, you will have some excess to trim off, and this is now the time to do it. Line it up, then using a super sharp Stanley blade, cut, then make sure that you cut about 0.5 millimetre to 1 millimetre too long, then squeeze it in, and this will then allow for any shrinkage in the seal once it's fully cured. Once the sunroof seal has been fully fitted, shut your sunroof and keep it shut for a minimum of 24 hours to allow the adhesive to fully bond to the car bodywork. Then that is your sunroof seal completely. Once you've cut the end piece in, remove the bits of tape that we're using to keep the sunroof wind deflector open. Then we can close the sunroof and make sure that it all fits perfectly. Then that is our sunroof trim seal finished and fitted. Hope you've enjoyed this video and it's been of some help for you. If you want to replace your window seals, it's not a difficult job. It shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes for the front and 10 minutes for the rear. The sunroof one is a bit more intensive, and that'll take you about a 1/4 hour. Cost wise, it's around about £100 from BMW from all the parts if you've got a trade account. If you haven't, then you're looking around about £120, and it's well worth doing, especially if your old seals have never been changed and they're all perished and cracked and split, as that just looks a bit of a mess really. So thank you for watching and keep tuned for the next videos. In the previous video I said that would be doing the clutch fluid bleeding on the next video. Unfortunately, due to lack of lift on the roof of the car, I had to have it repainted, so that's why this video has come first. So the next video we'll be looking at the clutch fluid, how to change that really easily. Also fitting a short shift gear change kit and brand new BMW gear knob. So all parts will be available from BMW, and you'll get part numbers and prices for them as well. So thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more videos. Give this one a like. Any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, as I'll always answer. Might take a few days to get back to you, but I will always give you an answer. Thank you very much.